Hello, welcome back to my channel. Before we get into this video, it feels wrong to be posting on YouTube right now without discussing what is going on in America right now. And as a white person with a platform, I feel like it is my responsibility to raise awareness about the issues that are happening in America right now. I will be leaving some links down below in the description that I hope you can take the time to check out. One of them is a link that will direct you to many different sources of places that you can donate, petitions you can sign, and different ways that you can educate yourself about what's going on in America right now. Even if you don't have the means to donate, any small donation can make a huge difference. I will also be leaving a Twitter thread down below that has a bunch of different videos that are being monetized, and all of the AdSense money earned from those videos is going to be donated to the Black Lives Matter movement through bail funds and memorial funds and different things like that. So please be doing everything you can to make a change in the world right now. Now is not the time to be silent, and everyone can be doing their small part to make a difference right now. Thank you to all the people that have been donating and signing petitions and being active on social media and going to protests. Like, you're the real heroes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you are all having a wonderful day. Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm gonna be doing something a little exciting. I originally saw this video over on Kayla's channel, Books and Lala. She did this video called I Paid a Book Recommendation Service to Pick My TBR, and I was like, what the heck is that? So I watched her video and I thought it was super entertaining and super interesting, and so I decided that I would also try this book recommendation service because I didn't even know things like this existed, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, I didn't know that you can pay someone to select books that they think are perfectly catered for you. And I'm just genuinely really curious to see which books they would pick for me. Basically how this works is I believe you pay them $15 and then they pick 3 books that are perfectly catered to your tastes, because you have to input a lot of information about your tastes and your favorite books and things. And so I thought we would do that together. This is going to be kind of like a reading vlog of me getting those books and reading those books and seeing if they're right or not. And I don't know, I'm really excited. So let's just get right to it. This is going to be what the website looks like here. It's called mytbr.co. and it's tailored book recommendations. You scroll down, it says how it works. In a book lover's life, there's nothing as magical as a perfect, surprising recommendation from someone who just gets you, but finding those people can be tough. That's where TBR comes in. I'm just so curious to see what they're gonna pick for me, and like, I hope they pick something that's like interesting and something I'd actually want to read. So let's get started. All right, what's your name? What are your favorite genres? Okay, thrillers, thriller, horror, contemporary, romance, some sci-fi. Is there anything you want to explore more of in your reading life? Say fast-paced thrillers with shocking plot twists. This is really hard. I actually don't know what I want to explore more of. What if I said something like horror books that are actually scary? I don't know why, I'm just really like in the mood to read horror lately. Books that are actually scary. Contemporary books with light sci-fi that involves aliens in some way. I'm thinking like We Are the Ants and like The Humans, and like some of my favorite books of all time are books that are like contemporary but they have some sci-fi elements to them, you know? So I would really like more of something like that. What are the last few books that you really loved? Okay, The Troop, The Dream Daughter, which doesn't really fit with anything that I just said. The Guest List, What Lies Between Us. I need to put some of my favorite thrillers in this as well so they know. The Turn of the Key, Lock Every Door. Maybe I'll put We Are the Ants in here so they know that that's the kind of alien shit that I'm talking about, and the humans. How should your bibliologist balance books that fit your current style with picks that branch out? I want them to keep it familiar because that's the whole point, I think, of doing this, is to get books that are familiar with these things that I want. Are you looking for recommendations on a certain theme? Certain theme? I would like sci-fi books that feature aliens in some way. And for horror books, the weirder the better. I'm gonna get some weird shit. Anything else you want your bibliologist to know before they pick your books? I like thrillers with short chapters that leave you on a cliffhanger at the end of each chapter. I'm just now getting into horror and I need more recommendations for weird horror like Bunny or The Troop. I think that's solid. Submit. Okay. I want to receive. Okay, so see, this is like they do 2 different kinds of services. So they do the hardcover books, which is like they actually send you the 3 books, or you can do just the recommendations and you get it within 2 weeks. So I think I'm gonna do just the recommendations. All right, so this is pretty cool. It says, congrats, we've got you on the books. We are cooking up some awesome reading recommendations for you. In the meantime, if you wouldn't mind sharing a link to your Goodreads profile in the field below, that would be rad. I think this is so that they know what books I have already read, so they don't recommend me something that I've already read, because that would be awkward. What are your all-time favorite books? Are the ants humans? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The Troop. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Fangirl. A Little Life. Any books you absolutely hated? Of course there are. Never Have I Ever. The Other Woman. Supermarket. Not the Girl You Marry. Baby Teeth. Okay, I think that's a good amount too. Okay, what are a few of your favorite TV shows and or movies? Holy crap, I could be here all day. Inception. Donnie Darko. These shows I'll do separate. Breaking Bad. This Is Us. Oh my gosh, yes. Parasite. How could I forget? Parasite. Knives Out. There we go. My all-time favorites movies list. The Shining, Prisoners. I feel like those are good ones to put because it'll give them, you know, a taste of what I like in thrillers and like horror related things. Ooh, It Follows, Arrival. Oh, so good. Any types of content you'd like your bibliologist to warn you about? I don't think so. For me, I don't think I need to be warned about anything, but that's really nice that they include that for somebody that might need to be warned about something. Any types of content that are deal breakers for you? I'm not a huge fan of YA books, so I'd prefer for them to be adult picks. And then not a fan of detective point of views in thrillers or really any legal thrillers. I think mainly just those 2 things. Like I don't really want any young adult books and I don't want any thrillers that have detective point of views. Alright, well it looks like that is it because all that's left is my recommendations and it says they will be shown here when they are ready. Yeah, I am very excited and very curious to see what they're going to recommend me. I'm hoping that I get a really good thriller recommendation from this and maybe something like horror. That would be cool. And it would also be great if they could find me something that's like contemporary with a light sci-fi feel to it. I really hope they don't give me any young adult books. We'll see. I mean, We Are the Ants is young adult and it's like one of my favorite books of all time, so I'm not like opposed to reading a young adult book. I just find that lately I'm just like gravitating more towards adult content. So I'm just like, I'm really curious to see what they're gonna recommend me here. So it has been exactly 10 days since I last saw you, and I just got an email that says your pigeon is ready from TBR, and so I'm assuming that means that my books have been selected for me. And I'm so excited right now. I'm actually kind of like so nervous to see what they've chosen for me. I'm kind of hoping there's at least one that I've heard of before, and I'm hoping there's at least one that I've never heard of. And I really hope that there's no Stephen King horror recommendations. I did end up going back and specifying after you saw me do all of the stuff that I filled out, I went back in there and said please no Stephen King horror recommendations, because I'm trying to branch out my taste and because I want to save the Stephen King books for other videos. I'm so curious to see what they recommended me. So let's just open the email together. Okay, the email just says your selections are ready, and so I have to click on this to view them. Oh my god. I don't know why I'm so nervous right now. Your bibliologist has searched the shelves and selected 3 awesome new additions to your TBR. Open your letter and get ready to get reading. Hi Gabby, welcome to the fold. I'm always so excited to meet other readers who love scaring the pants off themselves with creepy books as much as I love it. It's always really hard for me to narrow down the spooky books, so I've chosen these carefully to include separate elements outside of horror you love, page turners, aliens, and a classic Stephen King-like story with a twist. I'm so excited just for reading that. Something with aliens? Yes! Okay. Alright, the first one is The Hole. I'm not gonna scroll down because I don't want to see them all. The first one is The Hole by Hai Young Pyun. I probably pronounced that wrong, so I'm so sorry. I like to describe this one as reminding me of Misery. And since you have enjoyed Stephen King, I think that's what makes this one perfect for you. But the spin it takes is one you won't see coming. Ogie and his wife were in a car accident that left Ogie in a coma and a recent widower. He's finally woken up, paralyzed, and unable to take care of himself, and so his mother-in-law becomes his caretaker. Left alone constantly in his bed, Ogie watches the world outside his window go by until one day he sees his mother-in-law uprooting the garden his wife worked so hard on, and then she begins digging holes. What? I need to look this up on Goodreads to see like what this is, because is this horror? Is this a thriller? I don't even understand. Oh my god, that cover is beautiful. That is a stunning cover. I've never heard of this book, so that's pretty awesome. It was originally published in 2016. It's a horror book, and it's considered a thriller and mystery, and it's Asian literature, so wow, this is amazing. Okay, wow. I had no idea what to expect going into this. The first one, it sounds cool. I don't know if I would have ever picked this book up on my own, but I mean, it's a thriller horror novel and it sounds cool, and apparently it's like Misery by Stephen King, so I'll be reading it. I'm excited. The next one, These Women by Ivy Pochada. Okay, I've never heard of this either. Moving over to the page-turning thriller side of things, I am so excited this brand new release is finally out so I can recommend it to you. I think it has all the elements you love in a thriller, plus some added bonuses that make it an extremely excellent read. Following 5 separate women connected by one deadly man, you'll get to know these women. The woman on the corner, the woman others look down on, the woman no one notices goes missing. But when murders begin putting their neighborhood in South Los Angeles on edge, suddenly people begin to take notice and the women's lives begin to change in dangerous ways they never saw coming. Whoa, interesting. It just came out May 19th, so like very, very recently. Wow, this cover's cool too. What the heck? I'm finding out so many books that I didn't even know existed. It says, from the award-winning author of these books comes a serial killer story like you've never seen before, a literary thriller of female empowerment and social change. Okay, I'm excited. This sounds great. Alright, what do you think the last one's gonna be? Oh, I'm so nervous. It's gotta be the one that has like aliens, right? The last one is Bent Heavens by Daniel Cross. I have not heard of this either. Okay, it says, for this last one, you're going to have to trust me. Oh god. It's marketed as a young adult novel, but I certainly think it should not be. Okay, while the main character is an older teenager, the book's themes and subject matter are definitely adult. Okay, I think exactly what you're looking for. Liv's dad is famous all over town, and not in a good way. For the past year, after he disappeared and reappeared completely nude in the middle of the school parking lot, he has been ranting about the aliens come to take over the planet, and so he's built tons of traps set deep in the woods to catch them. When he disappears for good, Liv hates that she's a little relieved, but she checks the traps out of habit, and she discovers that one actually has something in it that's definitely not human. This is a sci-fi horror book combining everything you're looking for, and I will warn you, it is definitely worthy of the horror classification. It does sound so good. Oh my god, let me look it up. Wow. Oh, this one just came out in 2022. Oh my god, that cover is beautiful. Did they also know to appeal to my superficial ass that loves beautiful covers? I can't deal with this. I'm so excited. Oh my god. This is horror, sci-fi, young adult mystery. I've never even heard of this. This sounds so good. Okay. Oh wow, they show them all right here. This is amazing. Honestly, this is so cool. I'm actually kind of glad that there's no books that I've even heard about, because that makes me even more interested in reading them to see if they understand my weird taste in books even more. Like honestly, if I end up loving all three of these books, I might just keep this service to get more recommendations from them, because what? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I mean, as far as like getting recommendations goes, I think they freaking nailed it, because this is exactly the kind of weird shit that I was looking for. And they even hit some of the things that I love, like specifically requested, like aliens and even like feminist themes. I don't even think I talked about loving reading about feminist themes and thrillers, but they knew somehow. Hello, it has been some time since I last saw you, but I have received all three of these books in the mail, and I'm honestly just so stoked to like hold these in my hands and see them in person, because they're somehow even more beautiful in person. Like holy crap, why does this book cover totally give me like True Detective vibes or something? Like I don't know, I'm obsessed with it. And I love that there's kind of a theme of like green happening on all these covers. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking about the covers and actually pick up something and read. I'm thinking I'm gonna start with Bent Heavens, just because I've kind of been in a reading slump for these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I feel like because this book is technically young adult, I feel like it'll be easier for me to read this right now. And especially because the font is freaking huge in this book, and it is pretty short. It's like less than 300 pages. So I feel like I'll feel confident about myself if I could just bust out this book in the next day or so. And then it'll give me the confidence to jump into these more slightly intimidating books. But honestly, all of these books aren't super intimidating because the whole is also very small. Whoa, this one's less than 200 pages. What the fuck? This one's 198 pages. Maybe I should start with this one. I don't know. I think I'm still going to start with Bent Heavens, and then I'll probably try to bust out the whole, because wow, these are both so short. Who knew? I am on page 98 of Bent Heavens, and I seriously want to DNF this. Like if I were to rate this book right now, it would probably be a 2 or maybe 1 star if I'm feeling very like not generous. But this book is, it's exactly the fear that I had of reading a young adult book right now, because this book reads very much like a young adult book. And I feel like literally nothing even happens in the first like 50 to 70 pages of this book, like literally nothing. And we're just following this girl who's in high school with all of her high school friends, and they're just doing high school things. And nothing really even remotely interesting in this book happens until around the 70-page mark. But even then, it's like I just can't stand this main character so far, because she just reads like very young. And also, I feel like she's such a stereotypical female character, because she talks about how she didn't want to get her nails chipped when she was doing something that was like hard. And then the guy in the book, like her best friend Doug or whoever, was like, oh, get behind me, it's dangerous. I don't know, and the fact that this book is written by a man doesn't really help. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I feel like maybe I should just continue reading and push through this, because this is like not a good book to read right now while I'm in a reading slump, and I think I realize that. But also, it's just not very good. Like, the writing is not very good. It's just, but I'm like more than a third of the way in, so like, I don't know, maybe I'll try to push through a little bit to the halfway point, and then if I still hate it, I'll probably end up DNFing this. Dude, what the fuck is this? If she couldn't be the steadfast soldier her father had trained her to be, then it was a lucky thing that Doug could. Like, no, book. I'm honestly so sick of reading about Doug's character and how he's just so macho and like the hero all the time, and Liv, our main character, female girl, is just like constantly relying on him to like solve all of her problems and like being a damsel in distress. It's honestly so freaking annoying, and the fact that this book is written by a man just makes it even worse to me, because like this is very obviously poor female representation in a book, and I'm just frustrated. So I'm DNFing this book. I don't even freaking care. I'm gonna be moving on to These Women, which I've heard is a very feminist kind of literary fiction thriller type of book, and I've heard some really great things about this one so far, so hopefully I have better luck with this one. Last night I ended up DNFing Bent Heavens about 200 pages in, even though this book is only about like 290 pages long, but I could not even deal with it anymore. I don't know, I guess I feel like even though this book was about aliens, which is like what I wanted, I feel like these characters weren't really at all fascinated or curious about the fact that they discovered an alien. And I don't know, just everything about this book just like irked me so much. Like, I didn't like the writing style, and I just didn't like the way the female character was written in this book. It was driving me fucking crazy. And so this morning I finally got an opportunity to start reading These Women. I don't know how I feel about it so far. Like, apparently this book is supposed to be a thriller, but if it is a thriller, it's a very slow burn thriller so far, because not a whole lot has happened. And I do think that this book is divided into 5 different parts with 5 different women. And so I just read the first part that's about this first woman, Dorian, who her daughter was recently murdered, and she's trying to deal with the fact that her murder is still unsolved and that she's still like grieving her daughter every single day. And then her part kind of ended on like a little bit of something that's like thriller vibes, and so I'm hoping maybe it'll start to pick up in this second part that I just hit, because I just got to page 78, so that is the end of part 1 at page 78. So I don't know, but I do feel like this is something that is like beautifully written. Like, I can definitely tell the writing in this one is so much better than this one here, because you can definitely tell that this is an adult book. This is like very heavy subject matter. I don't know, I mean, so far I don't love it. Like, if I had to rate it right now, it would probably be like a 3-star book. Like, it's really not doing a whole lot for me so far. I'm planning on reading some more of this tonight when I get home, and for now I'm going off to work right now. It's a Saturday night. It is the next morning, and last night I read about 100 more pages of These Women. I got to page 176, and I finished reading part 2, and now I'm a little bit into part 3, and I honestly feel like part 2 is pretty much just the same as part 1. Like, I just feel like not a whole lot is happening in this book, and now we are in part 3, and this third woman that we are following is a detective, which is interesting because I actually usually like hate detective point of views, but for some reason in this book it's the most interesting point of view that I'm reading about so far. And so yeah, it's just like I don't really know how I feel about this book still. I'm still like pretty bored by it, because I do feel like it feels more literary fiction than thriller, because like literally nothing thrilling is really happening besides them talking about these women disappearing and getting killed and stuff, but like there's nothing like really thrilling happening. We are on a break and we're going to Starbucks. So that's what you do when you're on a break. We both wore red today. We didn't even plan this. Isn't that crazy? Crazy stuff.
I get one grande caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino.
No problem.
I'm just laying in bed reading These Women, and outside it's just like pouring rain right now, and now I can hear thunder. I can't see lightning, but I can hear thunder off in the distance, and I'm like, what? Like, it's June and there's lightning and thunder and rain? Washington is totally wild. I just finished part 3 of this book, and I still pretty much feel the same as I did before. I'm not super loving it, but I only have a little bit left, probably like a little over 100 pages left. So I think I'm just gonna power through the rest of it tonight and try to get it done. Hello, it is much later in the night, and I just finished reading These Women, and I'm not gonna lie, I started to skim a little bit as I got closer to the end because I just kind of wanted to be done with this book, because I found the writing to be very like slow moving, and I don't know, it's like this book is kind of hard for me to rate because I guess I went in with very false expectations, I feel like, because when I said I wanted a thriller that's very like fast paced and like short chapters and everything, I don't feel like I got that at all with this book. And I don't know if they read these recommendations before they just recommend them to you on this website, you know, because it's like, this is not really a thriller in my opinion. Like, I would definitely classify this more as literary fiction. Wow, can you hear that rain behind me? Oh my gosh. It just keeps getting louder. But I do feel like this book is really important in its literary value because it does have a very important message, and it's taking a really gritty look at the prostitution world in Los Angeles and like kind of like the drug world of Los Angeles, and kind of how these women can get killed and nobody will care because they work in prostitution, and the police just kind of like sweep it under the rug, and they don't value their lives the same way that they do with other women in society. Oh my God, I can't even concentrate because the rain is so loud. So I think I am gonna end up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars because while I did love the message of this book, I feel like I would have enjoyed this book even more if I had known what I was getting myself into when I started this book. But I was expecting a thriller when I read this book, you know, so I feel like I was kind of disappointed, but mostly because I was misinformed about what this is actually about. But it's weird because even on Goodreads, this book markets itself as a mystery thriller and not a literary fiction, which is just so strange. Of course, like now that I sit down to film, it just decides to freaking downpour. But even as much as I wanted to love this, I just feel like I never really connected with these characters. Like, the writing just always kind of kept you at a distance, if that makes sense. Like, I just always felt like I was looking in on others' lives from very far away. I was never like in the story, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain this, but this book was okay. I would give this a 3 out of 5. It's not a favorite for me, and I would definitely not consider this a thriller. I would definitely consider this more like literary fiction. It really does though make me wonder if the people that are recommending these books are actually reading these books, because they recommended me this book because it's like a fast-paced thriller, which it's definitely not. And then they recommended me Bent Heavens because she said it's a young adult book, but the main character reads very mature, which is just not the case for me with this book. Like, I thought the young adult character in this book was very young adult and very obnoxious. So yeah, it kind of makes me nervous going into this last book, The Hole, because I have no idea what to expect. Oh my God. You hear that thunder? Holy shit. Wow. Thunder really scares me. I don't know why. I've always had a fear of thunder since I was like a kid. So I'm just like, oh God, there was lightning. Just like waiting. Wow, look at this. the hole gets bigger as the book goes on. How cool is that? Okay, I only read the first chapter of The Hole and now it's 1 a.m. so I'm gonna go to bed. But just based off of this first chapter, I'm feeling like this one is gonna be a lot more promising and a lot more my kind of thing compared to the other two books. And already from that first chapter, I'm really intrigued and already kind of creeped out. Ooh, at Boulevard Park with my mom.
A math.
Yes, we are just chilling here by the water. Pretty. Yeah, it's a really beautiful day today. So pretty. Okay, I am back home from going out to the park with my mom, and I'm going to start The Hole. And it's a really nice, like, cloudy day out, so I feel like this is like the kind of perfect reading weather for a spooky-ish kind of book like this. So I am not going to leave this spot until I finish this book. About halfway through this book. I just hit page 100. Something about this book that's really different from Misery is it's not so focused on the aftermath of what happened, because if you didn't know, Misery is kind of about this guy who gets into a car wreck and then this girl Annie Wilkes, who's his biggest fan, is like taking care of him, and that's primarily what this story is about in Misery. It's about like him dealing with this girl who's kind of crazy that's taking care of him and him trying to plan how he's gonna escape. But in this book, we kind of get a similar situation where it's this guy who was in a car wreck that ended up killing his wife, and now his wife's mom, his mother-in-law, is the one taking care of him and kind of nursing him back to health, but she's also kind of a little crazy or questionable. The thing is though, with this book, it's not so much focused on like what's happening in the present, it's just giving you a lot of flashbacks to what's been happening. And I don't know, it does kind of feel more like literary fiction to me than anything else. Like, it just doesn't really feel horror for the most part. Like, there's definitely some horror vibes to this book for sure. One quote from this book that really stood out to me is when it's a flashback of this conversation he had with his wife, and he's talking to her about why she loves gardening so much, and he's saying like, why don't you hire a professional gardener or do something else with your time, something that will help you grow? And she's like, I stopped growing a long time ago. Only plants keep growing, not people. We stop after a certain age. And he's like, I don't mean that kind of growth. I mean, find something that you want. And she says, there is one thing that keeps growing. What's that? Cancer. Cancer grows in people even after they've stopped growing. And I don't know, just that whole passage was kind of like eerie and like kind of weird to me to read about. And I feel like the whole idea of planting and plants and trees is very symbolic in this story, as well as like the whole idea of the whole. So I don't know, like there's definitely some horror vibes to this, and I'm definitely still interested to finish it, but if I had to rate it right now, it would probably be like a 3-star book for me. Like, it's not doing a whole lot. It's now 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I just finished reading The Hole, and this was definitely my favorite book that I've read for this video. I think I'm gonna end up giving this like 4 to 5 stars. I do think those last 100 pages were a lot better for me than the first 100 pages, and I think this book is a horror novel, but it's definitely like a slow burn. And honestly, like, this is one of those horror novels that feels like really real life horror to me, because it's talking about grief and loneliness and how you overcome those things. And I don't know, I can't really put into words why I enjoyed this book or how it affected me, but I just found some of the second half of this book to be so moving and thought-provoking. And I would definitely agree with some of these reviews on the back that says, an absorbing look at the struggle to find meaning in life's little passages, arguments, and disagreements. And it says that this author is asking us a tough and terrifying question that none of us can dodge. Is your life safe? And it's kind of funny to me that this book is getting compared to Misery because of what's happening in the book. Like the plot, I guess, is very similar to Misery, but the feel of it almost kind of reminds me more of Pet Sematary, at least in the sense that it just feels like a really real life fear, and it's just kind of scary and makes you think about your own life kind of thing. So that's awesome, because that's what I really do enjoy in horror. I like horror that feels very real and authentic and will make you think about it long after you've finished it. And I really liked all the symbolism in this book about like the trees and comparing trees to people's bodies, and the whole thing about gardening and growing and how comparing like plants that grow to humans that grow. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot of like symbolism and metaphors in this book that I just really enjoyed. Like, it's all very thought-provoking, and I guess I wasn't expecting that. Like, it did take me some time to get into this book, and even though this book is only 198 pages, I do think it is still kind of a slow burn, and it's a book that you need to take your time with because it just has so much to say. So I think you really need to take some time to absorb this book, you know what I mean? I just finished it 10 minutes ago, and I'm still sitting here trying to like process. That pretty much wraps up this video. Was this video a complete failure? I guess that's up to you to decide, because I only really ended up enjoying one of these books, and this book still is probably closer to a 4-star for me. So like, I didn't find any new favorites with any of these books, but I still had a really fun time experimenting with these books. I feel like everything's so subjective, but as far as them recommending me things that they think I would enjoy, I mean, they pretty much nailed it with like the descriptions of these books. But at least I found something that I enjoyed, and I've never even heard of this book before this video, so like, there's definitely a positive to this whole experience. And I guess a question that some of you might have would be, would I be willing to give this experience like a second chance and like do another 3 books soon? And I guess my answer to that is like, I don't really know. I guess it just depends on what I'm looking for, but I definitely feel like I've found a gem doing this video, so it kind of does make me want to do this video again in the future. But I guess that also just depends on you guys. Like, would you want to see another video like this in the future of reading this website's 3 recommendations for me? Because if you guys would like to see this and you guys really enjoyed this video, then I'd be totally down to do this again. Anyways, I'm really glad to have finally completed this video, because this video has been in the works for some time. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and again, please do check the links in my description that I'm going to be posting for information about where you can donate and where you can support and sign petitions for the Black Lives Matter movement, because it is very, very important. As always, thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!